What's up in War Eagle War Report family? It's your guy Ike Jones. We are here with another morning drop. Today, Auburn has announced who's going to be the captains for 2023, baby. And it's time to get in here and talk about that. Plus, we'll talk a little bit more about the matchup versus UMass. Y'all know how we do right here, War Report style. Let's drop it on them.
You are now listening to the War Report.
Morning drop. We are here Wednesday morning. It is August the 30th. You got Ike Jones in here, Mike G talking a little bit more Auburn football, inching closer to game one for the season. And the players have come up with 4 guys they want to represent them for this year as team captains. That was announced yesterday. Mike G, how we feeling this Wednesday morning?
Pretty good. One step closer to football. I know you don't care, but we get Utah, Florida tomorrow night, and I'm excited to see some real P5 action.
It's not that I don't care. I'm not excited about it. I'm gonna watch the game, but
okay, all right.
It's not Auburn, so it's just gonna be there on the TV.
I'm doing it.
We don't play either of those teams, so I'm just like,
I'm doing it for our boy Landon. I hope he finds success out there at Utah. But I kind of hate Utah.
My stance on every former Auburn player is good luck, and I wish you the best. But I ain't rooting for you. I'm just. It is what it is. Like I don't have nothing against him. It's just say, hey, listen, you don't play for Auburn, so do what you do, and hope all your dreams come true. But I whatever. Yeah. But yeah, man. Team captains have been announced. And before we get into this, y'all need to be doing the necessary because y'all be trying to play like y'all don't know what's up, man. Go ahead and share this video. Get some more people involved in the conversation. Y'all know we're out here giving y'all the best content out here on these interwebs. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Just as an aside, if you guys didn't see, and I'll be doing a more extensive breakdown tomorrow for our members. But I did drop a short watch the film. Got a question from one of the guys who is a member on the channel, Corey Weber. If you're out there, I did, as promised, give you something on the trap coverage that Coach Hugh Freeze talked about with UMass. That is up on the channel right now. I watched the film short, so you guys can check that out. I'm gonna leave that up for everybody to see. But the full breakdown on UMass, we're doing that tomorrow for our members. Anyway, more to these captains. Team captains announced, and any surprises in the names? Kam Stutts, Luke Deal, Elijah McAllister, and Payton Thorne. 2 transfers, 2 guys who've been here for a while. Any surprises in the 4 names? Again, picked by the team. The team voted on this on their own team captains. Any surprises from you?
Well, 3 out of 4 guys that went to media days.
Right.
So, no surprises there. I think after you name a starting quarterback, you hope that guy's team captain. So I think it speaks well of Payton Thorne that he was able to garner that respect in such a short amount of time. The way you do that, Ike, is work ethic, essentially, and being a vocal leader. So I'm assuming he's demonstrated those things if they chose him as a team captain, and he's just got to go out there, man, and keep his cool and validate that decision on the field. So these are like, we talked about Elijah just being like a super mature guy. Like, Camden Brown talked about this during one of our firesides when we brought up Elijah. He was like, man, these Vanderbilt guys, you wouldn't think, but good leaders. Then we had a chance to meet him subsequently at media days, and you did a great interview with him. Just a really, really good guy that I think Auburn is lucky to have.
Yeah.
Right. To have such a great leader in the room. So, it's not all about ability. Sometimes it's about just having a guy who's solid and consistent and steady. And I think Elijah McAllister is that. We haven't had a chance to sit down with Kam Stutts yet, right? But, obviously we spent a lot of time with Luke Deal, so it's very easy to understand why he got chosen, right? Mm-hmm. He was on my number 1 on my list to go to media days. This is not a shock at all to me. Luke is a mature guy who has gone through some recent tragedy in his life and handled that like a champion.
Yeah.
We helped raise money for his dad's ALS. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. Luke persevered that experience, and he's used that to fuel him. He talked about how he thinks about his dad every day, and how it powers him to do better and to keep going. So many players have these kinds of stories. And Kam Stutts, he was also voted on Team Pretty Boy.
True story.
His friends. So the Pretty Boy setting a good example by dressing to impress. Got chosen as team captain. I love it. I love that there's an offensive lineman in here. I love that there's an offensive lineman in this group. So that's a group that's going to have to step up. Kam Stutts getting chosen. No surprises here, man. I think this is great. And I'm glad Hugh Freeze has found his guys.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think the only one maybe that was surprising for me, even though he is the starting quarterback, was Payton Thorne. But it does speak, in my opinion, speaks volumes to the way that he leads in the locker room and the way that guys have already started to respond to the leadership that he provides on the team. I have seen some commentary about this officially ends the quarterback controversy. If Payton Thorne is a captain, then there's no shot for Robbie Ashford to win a starting job based upon play on the field. I reject that notion completely, not because I think that I want Robbie Ashford to win a job. It's just that just because you are a phenomenal leader, and we can say this for any of these four guys, does not mean that you will permanently hold a spot as a starter for this team. It just
We've
means
heard that about
Elijah
McAllister. We've heard that about Elijah McAllister, right? Like, there are guys on the team better than him, but not at leadership. Right. So, but does that mean that he gets to be on the field more than anybody? Not necessarily, right? Listen, man, you can be a captain from the bench. You can help your team from the bench. So I'm with you. I reject the notion that just because any guy didn't get named captain that he can't be a starter. I think that's kind of silly.
Yeah, I don't really even understand that thought process, but hey, I'm not mad at anybody who thinks what they think. Again, I will say this for anybody who wants to, clip a portion of what I said and take it out of context. Hopefully people come and hear the remainder of my thought. I hope Payton Thorne balls out this season. I am not secretly wishing for him to fail. I want him to do well because I want Auburn to succeed. Hopefully people hear me say that, but I know how this goes. I really hate that I have to always give disclaimers and caveats when I start talking, because people take things that you say and take them completely out of context. But hey, it is what it is. I'm going to keep saying what I want to say, and you guys are just going to have to deal with it. All right.
Yeah.
Enough of that talk right there.
Jay Fair should have been on this captain team. He should be on this captain team while we're talking.
But here's the thing, and I will say this while we're on this. I am actually surprised there's only one defensive guy. There's three offensive guys and one defensive guy. I'm surprised there's not at least one more guy from the defense that was voted there. So I think that that's interesting. I'd be interested to see kind of how it is with like media polling, like who was number 5 and 6 on that list of people that were voted. So I'd be interested in seeing the rest of that. Anyway, what I do want to get over into is something that we normally do on Wednesday nights. We are shifting that to Wednesday morning, and we are going to talk about the matchups that we have here with UMass. So we normally will have this graphic for you guys on the midweek report. We're shifting that to the morning drop since this is the first year we've had a morning drop. So what we're taking a look at here is a graphic that shows who the projected starters are on both sides of the ball for both UMass and for Auburn. So you've seen the 2 deep that's gone out already from Auburn. Here is what we're looking at on the opposite side from UMass. And I had the opportunity to talk to the play-by-play guy for UMass, and that's going to be going live on the Auburn Express. For those of you who are not subscribed to the podcast, we're going to have the Auburn Express be the place where we have the information coming in from the opposing teams weekly. So I had an opportunity to talk with him. That should be going up tomorrow for you all on the Auburn Express. At any rate, just talking to him about standout performers that we anticipate being on the UMass side of the ball. And he pointed out a couple of guys. He thought that listen, UMass, and Coach Freeze said this, and I want to echo those sentiments, has one of the top defenses in the country. Last year, they ranked in the top 10 in the country in defense and defensive ratings. So this is not a team that doesn't play good defense, man. And they've got some guys over here in the secondary, particularly, that have been standouts. The guys that I want to call attention to are particularly the corners on the outside. So Rutherford and Mahoney. They're not speedsters, but they're good at technique, and I like what they do on the outside. We talked about the trap coverage video that I've already got shown there. And I like what they're doing up front just in a scheme. It's not really about particular people in this. I think it's the sum of the parts being greater than anything else. Like, they play good team defense with this UMass team. But I don't know how much. Have you had an opportunity to look into any of these guys at all, as far as looking at the film, Mike?
Yeah. Listen, not individually. I kind of looked at some team-wide stats. I mean, listen, they're a pretty good defense. Ultimately, this is a defense that Auburn should be able to dominate offensively, though. So, I looked at the numbers. I think they're fairly impressive based on who they play. But again, I expect Auburn to be able to handle them fairly easily.
Yeah, I'm not really super worried about this. I actually think from going back and watching the film again against New Mexico State that Auburn should be able to run the ball against this unit. They do a lot of movement up front, do generate negative plays. I think what Auburn is going to need to do is just attempt to establish themselves between the tackles. I didn't like how much New Mexico State was using the compact formations. They were trying to do that and then, run wide, and they were trying to run, outside routes and things like that. So they were keeping the formations tight and then trying to spread them out with their sweeps and with outside runs and with outside routes. I think Coach Hugh Freeze and company are going to do the exact opposite. They're going to have spread out formations to try to be able to sort through what's happening in the middle and then be able to run between the tackles by getting the box light and by spreading them out. We're definitely going to see how that evolves, but looking forward to seeing what the game plan is. A coach that Coach Hugh Freeze is accustomed to going against, right? He said he's gone against this defense and it's given him headaches before, but hopefully from an athleticism standpoint, we'll be able to just go and impose our wills and we won't have to worry about all that.
Yeah, I mean, their D-line graded out fairly poorly in run defense per PFF. They had one lineman that had a pretty good grade. So I would look for Auburn to try to establish the run to set the tone. Hugh Freeze has talked about this. He's talked about you have to run the ball, right? But we're not going to continuously run into 8-man boxes. I just think he understands that he's got a strength on this team in terms of his running back room, and he's going to test them early to see if they can carry the tempo of the game for him and then allow him to open up the offense through the air after the defense is worn down. So that's a little bit of what I expect here based on how they, graded on defense versus New Mexico State.
Yeah, I think tempo is for me going to be a key. When New Mexico State was able to get into more of their hurry up stuff, they started to give them problems. But that's when that trap coverage is going to come into play, when you're trying to run quick game and they switch up what the look is on the outside. Your quarterback can get into some trouble if he's not careful because he's going so fast. He's not really reading the changes that they're going to do on the back end in that coverage. Let's flip it over to the other side and take a look at what they're going to be offering on offense. This is this is definitely a more prolific offense than UMass has had over the last couple of years. And UMass fans are excited about that. I could sense the excitement talking with the UMass guy the other day when we talked. He was really excited about the fact that UMass actually has a forward passing game. So not something that we are unfamiliar with, not having the ability to pass the ball, but they actually were able to do a little something. I mean, 10 of 17 isn't world breaking, but it's when you're used to not being able to throw the ball at all and you are relying heavily on the run, it definitely puts you in a different space. But here we see the defensive alignment from Auburn with, the jack and the star position coming back into the fold here. The big surprise, again, from the two deep, we talked about this yesterday, being Griffin Speaks as the backup safety there for Jalen Simpson, I think. But Any thoughts on the UMass offense versus the Auburn defense here, Mike?
Look. All right, so Palmaton?
Yeah.
Right,
Tyson Puma, I think it's Pumachan, but
Pumachan.
is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, Pumachan.
Yeah.
Our guy Pumachan. We talked about his numbers in a previous segment. This guy is considered mobile, I guess. He went 10 for 17, I believe. And had an okay game. It's not anything I would call anything Auburn should be super worried about. He completed 58.8% of his passes. He had an average completion of 11.3 yards per attempt, which is not bad. But
I think that's the important thing about the passing statistics is his average per completion.
Yeah. His adjusted still was only 66.7%. This is not an accurate passer.
Yeah, which is why I think that defensively Auburn is going to have to just make him uncomfortable, limit his ability to run. I don't know, I think an interesting matchup here is going to be who is going to be assigned because I anticipate there being some sort of spy on him. Who's going to be assigned as a spy? New Mexico State tried this. They tried to put a spy on him, and he made that guy look very silly in the open field a couple of times.
Right.
So I think it's going to be interesting how Auburn decides to play hey, you're not going to run on us game. We're going to rush 3, drop 8 coverage, but we're going to leave a spy in so you can't go run for 15 yards on 3rd and 8, right? Is it going to be Cam Riley? Eugene Asante can run. Like all 4 of these guys that I have listed here, or not I have, but as Auburn has listed on the 2 deep can go and run. And it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to deal with him in the run game, especially on those 3rd and long scenarios, if we're not going to bring pressure and we're going to play some sort of drop 8 coverage and force him to play football from the pocket.
Right. It's very interesting. I mean, their leading receiver was Christian Wells. He had 68 yards receiving on 1 reception and 1 target.
Simpson, I think it's, to me, when just looking at the tape, is probably their most prolific receiver. He's a transfer guy. I think I forgot what school he transferred in from, but he's got some speed. He's a former P5 guy. This has the markings of how it felt last year for us against game 2, it was against San Jose State, right? San Jose State came in with a lot of guys that transferred from P5 programs, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, the quarterback didn't have a great game the first time, but he's an athletic guy, a runner. They've got some speed on the outside. That's what I get the feel of with this game. Hopefully Auburn will not have a repeat of San Jose State this year, though.
Look, the second receiver is just talking about Simpson. 3 catches, 65 yards. Auburn can
speed
stop
sweep
this.
Is where he did his damage, though. He had a couple of rushes for I don't know how many yards he got on the ground, but that's where he did his damage. But he's got good speed and good size.
Yeah, 27 yards on the ground. But on 4 attempts. So like I said, again, I expect Auburn to be able to stop these guys, man. Come on, dude. I think you put DJ James on Simpson and he locks down that side of the field. And after that, lights out, man. Sings and McAllister need to get to the quarterback. So one of the surprises on this Auburn defense has been Speaks, right? Like Speaks winning that backup spot at the safety position. They've talked well of him. Look at Messiah Kite over there at defensive end. Jason Jones is getting the start. Marcus Harris. The D-line understands that they have to improve in run defense. So you got to get after Pumachan. Larry Nixon is playing behind Austin Keys. We had heard a lot of good things about Nixon in camp. So we'll see what the rotation looks like there. You got Keontae Scott, who's an absolute stud, backed up by what I think is another underrated stud in Donovan Kaufman. And
that star position is so loaded, man.
Yeah, and then you got Eugene Asante playing behind Cam Riley, who we've heard good things about both of those guys. So Zion Puckett getting this start out there at safety. So exciting times there. What it boils down to here is this defense, needs to show something against the run on Saturday.
Absolutely.
Right. You cannot let UMass hold the ball, and you've got to force them to do things they don't want to do. And I think that the stats say that they don't really want to throw the ball a lot. So they had one pass. Pumachan threw one pass 20 yards down the field, and it was incomplete. Yeah. So, passing is not their thing. You shut down the run, you shut down this offense, you win this game big.
Yeah, they're going to play a lot of RPO stuff. So that's going to be interesting to see how we combat that, because as Coach Free said, they're multiple in the way that they can attack you. And he's anticipating they didn't even show everything in that first game. But they are very similar to Auburn in the fact that they want to spread you out. They want to run, up-tempo stuff when they can get into it. And then they have the additional threat of the quarterback who can run. But again, it's going to be incumbent on us to shut down their ability to run and make him a passer, take away their quick slant stuff that they're going to want to do off of that RPO, and make him throw the ball down the field, hold it a little bit longer than he wants to. And good news is, though he's not listed here on the depth chart, they say Jalen McLeod is likely to play this Saturday. So that jack rotation is now going to be 3 deep, and we have our what everybody tabs as the pass rush specialist coming back in for those 3rd and long opportunities there at jack.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
All right. Well, let's take a little quick break here from our talking, and we want to get into hearing what you all have to say. But we definitely want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's morning drop, and that's again HelloFresh. HelloFresh.com/50rapport is where you all need to be headed to let them know that the War Report sent you guys over there. And we appreciate you all for continuing to support all of the people who support the War Report and everything that we've got going on. But HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. You can use code RAPPORT50 when you go over there to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first order. Make sure that you guys do that, and that lets them know that we sent you over there. Banish the end of summer blues with HelloFresh. No need to stress about how you'll handle it all right from your home. So whipping up a homemade meal is a cinch. The key to dinner time success: variety. HelloFresh keeps your taste buds on their toes with 40 chef-crafted recipes to select from every week. From family-friendly to fit and wholesome, you'll always find a new and exciting recipe to try and love. Again, go to HelloFresh.com/50rapport and use code 50rapport for 50% off plus free shipping. America's #1 meal kit is HelloFresh. And we're going to say hello to our comment section here. And we're started off with John Brannon, who always needs to remind Mike G of his fashion choices. Super chat from John Brannon. Appreciate you as always, man. Mike G, no outfit loafing, no crimson on the War Report.
It's not crimson, man. It's maroon. Okay, whatever.
Special shout out to our guy Scotty.
Hey, off
script, man. If you guys want information on what's going on with the SWAC or the MEAC, my guy Scotty's got you covered at Off Script, man. I appreciate you dropping in with us, man. It's good to see you as always in the comments section. James Barnett jumps in and says, as it relates to trap coverage, wouldn't running the ball be wide open? So referring to the trap coverage video that I did, James, I will have answers for you for that tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow for Watch the Film. We will dive into that film a little bit more extensively, and I got you covered as we talk about the defense and offense. That is for our members tomorrow, sometime around midday. We'll be doing that. Jonathan Boyson says, good morning, War Report. Captains didn't surprise me, but Thorne named one goes with what Hugh Freeze has said in previous press conferences. Definitely agree about Payton Thorne being a guy who he just came in and he's about business. And I think the players have responded to that.
Yeah, you picked him as quarterback. You validate your own decision by making him the captain. There's not a whole ton to talk about here, right? Like, he's the quarterback. This was something that we talked about on our offensive line fireside with leaders on the team, right? And we talked about smartest position groups, and the guys were joking and they were like, man, you hope the quarterbacks
right
are the smartest position on the field, right? Even though they understand that they have to be plenty smart in their position at offensive line. So, again, once you pick a guy, it's because, he's spent the whole offseason talking about leadership and intangible qualities. right? So once he picks a guy, you expect that guy to be on that captain team.
Yeah. So Nina jumps in with the super chat. Thanks so much for the super chat. Hey guys, is there going to be a meetup at the game?
Look, I'm gonna be there early enough to visit some tailgates. So you guys, my DMs are closed, but you can at me on Twitter and I will let you know which tailgate I'm at. But I'm gonna stop by a few tailgates before the game, Ike, and eat some of phenomenal chicken cooked by the War Report family, the Auburn family.
Yeah, I too will be in town this weekend, so I'm gonna try to make the rounds. So hopefully I'll get an opportunity to meet some of you guys. I'll be out there in some War Report gear, so I'll be easy to spot. Actually, I don't know if I'm gonna guarantee War Report gear, but I'll be out there. Don't worry about it. Daniel Owen jumps in, excited to see another watch the film. Haven't gotten to watch it yet, but never a shortage nowadays of War Report content. Thanks, guys. Hey, man, season's going.
Yeah,
this is gonna we're gonna be cranking out content pretty consistently from now until the end of basketball season. Like
every day,
it won't slow down probably until basketball season ends. And even with that, the War Report Network is going to have you covered because our guys over at the Up Tempo podcast are going to be absolutely massacring the baseball content over there. So we're not going to be stopping anytime soon over here, man. AU Alum 94 says Luke seems to be running first team. Don't remember many pass routes for him last year. Is he a threat downfield or mainly just a blocker? Let me say that I take umbrage with the term just a blocker because that is so important. But Luke Deal is an underrated pass catcher, not a threat down the field, but he definitely can catch the ball. And if you give him some opportunities, he can make some receptions for this team. I do anticipate him being involved in the pass game this year.
Yeah. Luke is good, man. He's good. He hasn't had much of a chance. If you catch the ball, you just have not had much opportunity to show what you could do at Auburn. So I would just caution everybody. We don't know how good really any of these receivers are or aren't. All we know is that Jay Fair is going to be a star. We just know that. We know we start there, and then everything else is easy.
All right, no comment on that. John Brannon loved Caddy's speech about the captains. If you guys haven't had an opportunity,
Captain Caddy,
when the captains were announced on social media, Auburn also had a video of Cadillac Williams, Coach Caddy, talking about the importance of the decision that the team was making about who they're voting as captains. You got to love every time you get an opportunity to hear Caddy speak, and he speaks with passion about Auburn and his time as a football player, and how it has just basically been a lasting impression on him as a man. But yeah, definitely always love to hear when Caddy gets an opportunity to talk. So if you haven't had an opportunity, go check that out on Auburn social media. It is available there.
Yeah.
TK says captains are about leadership, not about position guarantees, just in reference to, whether or not these captains are solidified as starters for the rest of the year and there's no more opportunities for anybody. That's not what it is. It's definitely about leadership, and you can lead. If you're an effective leader, you don't have to be the guy that's out there getting all the shine all the time.
That's facts.
So effective leadership doesn't need that.
Big time facts.
Andrew Ackerman says Jason Jones would have been a good captain. I tend to agree with this statement. Jason Jones, I think, would have been a great captain. And I do think that he's still going to be a leader in the locker room there for Auburn this season.
Yeah, I agree with that as well, too. Love me some Jason Jones. Again, hoping all these guys are ready to go, stay healthy the whole season, but it's going to be fun to watch him. I thought he started to come on last year, and I think he takes the leap this year if things work out for him.
AU Alum 94 jumps back in. You guys think we see a lot of 2 tight end sets?
12 personnel. How much 12 personnel do we see, Ike?
I think there's a possibility we do.
Yeah, we'll see some. We'll see some. I don't know if we see a lot, but we will see some 12 personnel.
I think the way that we're going to see it, though, is going to be not so much in a bunch formation as far as like 2 tight ends close to the line of scrimmage. I think you'll see one of those tight ends flex out as a slot receiver in either a 3 or a 4 receiver formation. because Rivaldo Fairweather is a potential pass catching target that runs well. I think you can see him flexed out, and then you'll still see Luke Deal or Micah Riley in there as the tight end close to the line of scrimmage. Micah Riley, an underrated pass catcher there as well. So I think there's an opportunity for some two tight end sets with, again, 3 and 4 receiver looks on the outside.
Yep, agreed.
AU Alum 94 with another one that says that D did get 3 turnovers. That's 2 interceptions and 1 fumble against New Mexico State. Again, they were a good defense last year. They create havoc. They do a lot of things up front to try to confuse what you're doing from your protection and your looks for the quarterback. So I don't think you should take the defense lightly. I just think that from an athletic standpoint, we should have guys that can run past, run through, and be able to just be special in opportunities where maybe we didn't have the right play call on, but you have special athletes that make it look a little bit better than it should have.
Right. Yeah, agreed.
We got a UMass fan in here, and we appreciate you jumping in. We have Gino Rudo Campiati, who was actually last year's quarterback for UMass, now playing at tight end there for UMass. Talked a little bit about Campiati with the UMass guy. Again, that's going to be going live on the Auburn Express tomorrow, so you guys tune in for that conversation if you're a podcast listener. That's going to be available for you. And maybe we'll put it up on the podcast app here on YouTube as well, just so you have multiple opportunities to listen to that. Another one here from AU Alum says, you guys think it's more of an advantage now to have UMass tape or a disadvantage we haven't played and UMass has 1 game experience coming in? Good question here from AU Alum. Is it more of an advantage to see tape or more of an advantage that we would have had a game to knock the rust off?
I think it's more of an advantage to see tape.
Yeah, right? I tend to lead towards tape.
Yeah, I mean, you're physically superior to this team. Rush should not be an issue at all. I think if you want the tape, you go out there and execute, and you beat this team because you're better than them. Period. Yeah, none of that should matter against a team like this.
Indeed. Last one I'm going to go here with is Devin said Georgia had a tough time taking him last year with I guess this was supposed to be tackling him last year with just 1 guy. He really doesn't go down easily. Speaking of the quarterback here for UMass now, he was at Georgia Tech last year. So this is what he's speaking of during the Georgia Tech game. Some design runs. Georgia was having an issue tackling him.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but screw Georgia. I wish them much failure all the time this season. That's completely unrelated to this comment, but I feel like it needed to be said. Listen, I guess, man. Look, Georgia struggled with Missouri at points last year. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, right. I mean, let's be honest. Auburn can handle him. They can handle Pumachan. I expect them to handle it. Well, we got a 2:30 kickoff. Yeah, it makes me feel a little bit better. At least now playing at noon or 11 a.m. So yeah, go out there, man, and beat this team. Beat them up good. Let's celebrate on Tumors before sunset.
Yeah,
and it should be done. Pumachan, based on what I saw, I bet I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn pulls off a pick 6 in this game.
I am hoping we get at least 1, and y'all know who I'm hoping it's from. What's understood doesn't have to be explained now.
Scott.
Hey, listen, man. Y'all know what it is. Anyway, we're gonna get out of here. We appreciate you guys dropping in with us. As always, make sure you go out here and support the people who are supporting the War Report. Go place an order today at rogueshop.com and use code REPORT to get something off. You know, that's our way of giving back to you for supporting the people who support us. They give you a little percentage off. So head over there. Rogueshop.com is America's #1 online dispensary. They've got something for whatever ails you, whether that is pain, sleep, stress, anxiety. They've got you covered. Rogueshop.com using code REPORT. We're going to get out of here, but we'll be back tonight with the midweek report, the first week 1 situation of this season. We're going to be talking about all games involving SEC teams. So a lot to discuss tonight with that. And we will get further into the UMass versus Auburn matchup. We'll see you guys tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the live stream midweek report. Until the next time, and as always, War Eagle, we're out of here. Peace.
Peace.